Thank you for listening to this Belly Up Sports Podcast Network product. Some said we go belly up, so we made it our name, and we're still here.
All right, what's going on, everyone? My name is Alex, and welcome to the Beyond Half Court Podcast, episode number 10. We finally hit the double-digit number. That's how you know things are on the roll, and we are making moves. Speaking of making moves, I finally got a nice cover for my mic, so now my P's and B's don't blow out the mic. Definitely a good investment. Actually, it was such a good investment that I got it for free. I got this off of Amazon, and I guess I had an Amazon gift card, so it just paid for it. So I was happy. It was going to be like $8 plus shipping, so probably like, I don't know, $10-12. So save me some money, so I'm happy about that. Also, I made a TikTok. I'm just starting to get into that. I've never actually used TikTok before, so you can bear with me on that. But all my socials like TikTok, Twitter, and my other YouTube channel, Beyond Half Court, is in the Linktree link somewhere wherever you're listening. If you're listening through audio, it should be in the description of the episode, or at least like in my profile. And if you're watching on YouTube, it's in the description. There's just one link. It sends you to everything that I got, and you can check out everything that I got over there. On my other YouTube channel, Beyond Half Court, I've also uploaded some videos. I just uploaded the day I'm recording this, 5 early overreactions so far going into the season. I also have kind of different types of videos. I actually didn't think I was going to be doing this sort of stuff, but I looked at the 76ers against the Spurs game, and I kind of like looked at some plays, talked about what was going on, and kind of talked about, some problems with the 76ers, why I thought Doc Rivers is probably going to get fired by the end of the year just because of, things that he keeps doing, and he's not that great of a coach. I also looked at Jason Tatum's very first game against the 76ers. So if that interests you, if you want to go check that out, that's in the Linktree link, and you can find it on my other channel. And I think that's all the stuff that I needed to talk about on this one. But with that out of the way, let's get into the recaps for the week. I wanted to start off with Saturday. And the first game that I watched was the Magic versus the Celtics game. This was my first game watching Paolo Banchero, and man, it was funny because he was going off in the games I wasn't watching him, and as soon as I decided to watch him, he went like 0 for 5 from 3. He was chucking threes in the first quarter against the Celtics. I think it was like 5 threes. I generally think he shot like 5 threes. Okay, he shot 4 threes. I'm looking on Basketball Reference right now. He shot 4 threes in the first quarter, and he missed all of them. And it was kind of funny the way he was getting the threes as well. They were mainly like early in the shot clock, and there really wasn't a play being ran. It's like if he had the ball and he was like somewhat open, he was shooting the threes. So I thought I was laughing really hard about that. But yeah, so far he really hasn't shown to be a great three-point shooter as well, so it makes it interesting why he was trying to attempt so many threes. But he did end up finishing the game with 2 threes. I think he overall went 2 for 7. But outside of the three-point shooting, he had 23 points, he had 5 rebounds, 3 assists. He had a block and only 2 turnovers, which is good. Played 33 minutes, 6 for 19 from the field. Not very great. He was a negative 16 overall through that game. Wasn't the best showing. Obviously, he scored 20, and you see the stats on Twitter talking about he's at least today, he is the first rookie, I think, to have 6 consecutive 20-point games to start off the season. So, just based off of that alone, it's very impressive, but it's not the most efficient. But again, he's a rookie, so you kind of just let it go. Efficiency-wise, he was not really that great in this game. Terrence Ross had a game. He went 5 for 8 from 3. He finished off the game with 29 points. Franz Wagner, I always mess up his name. I know how to say it. I always mess it up the first time, though. Mr. Stutter. That's my nickname right there. He had 18 points. Was pretty efficient. Only went 2 for 6 from 3, though. Cole Anthony also had a good game. Starters overall had a good game. Okiki had a good game as well. He went 3 for 3 from the field, 2 for 2 from 3, and he's not really the greatest three-point shooter either. So that's kind of a good thing for them. Bowl in general. As a Nuggets fan, it's sad to see him, exceed in the role that he's been given, with the Magic. You always hope, like, when you see a player you used to have start actually playing good on another team, it always makes you like mad just because you wish he was on your team doing that. But I think overall, like, he wasn't going to get playing time if he's on the Nuggets, if I'm being honest. So he wasn't going to play this way if he was on the Nuggets. So I'm happy for him. Bull, he's going crazy offensively and defensively. And this whole Magic team as well. The Magic team is so, like, they're able to run these huge lineups just because their big guys have so much skill. And I think when you look later on, maybe a season or two later, like, this team is going to be really dangerous because Franz can almost do everything offensively. Paolo, same thing. Wendell Carter, as well as a big man, is very underrated. Great two-way guy, underrated playmaker as well for his position. So, you just assume that Cole Anthony also takes a jump as well. They have just so much talent right now, and they're probably going to get another, good pick this year as well. They won't be one of the better teams. They could always look in the draft and get not Paulo. Oh my God. They could always look in the draft and get Victor Wembanyama or like Scoot Henderson. So the future is really bright, and it's very similar to like what the Cavs were doing last season. Like, the Cavs were so skilled, like their bigs were so skilled that they could play like Lauri Markkanen was playing small forward. Like, he never did that before, but because he was like pretty skilled for his position and he was providing, 3-point shooting, and he was also a pretty good defender last season as well. Like, he was able to play that 3 spot, and you're able to put him alongside Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen because those guys are also, really versatile as well. They're really versatile. And, you look at the Magic, it's virtually the same thing. Paulo, Franz, and Wendell Carter Jr., they're all really versatile as big men. So if you get Victor Wembanyama in that situation, oh my God, I'm assuming like you would run Franz at the 2, Paulo at the 3, or Victor, I guess. I don't know. And then like Victor or Wendell Carter at like power forward center, whichever one, tickles your fancy. But that is a huge lineup. That's like 4 guys as your starters that are 6'10" or taller. Oh my God. I hope that doesn't happen. I mean, actually, I do hope it happens, but like, if you're a team in the East, like, I would hope not to guard, play those guys, because they'd be really hard to guard. And you would just have to hope that those big guys are just not making their threes. I think you would just force them to take those threes. But the Magic are I don't think they've won yet. I don't think they've won a single game, but how much talent they have, it doesn't matter that they're losing, because you're seeing promise from your rookies and your second year guys, and you're losing, so it's a win-win. So that's a good thing for the Magic. And for the Celtics in this game as well, Tatum had a game. He had 40 points, 14 for 21 from the field, 4 for 10 from 3. He had 8 rebounds, only 1 assist, but he also had 2 blocks and 1 steal. Tatum is definitely, I think, 1 or 2 in my opinion for MVP right now. I know the Celtics are a little bit off track, I believe. They've lost a couple games. They've blown some games, and they've also come back from some games. So they're a little up and down right now. I think they're kind of missing Robert Williams on the defensive end. He's not going to be coming back until sometime in the new year. So we'll have to see when he comes back and see how the Celtics manage that. But I really like what I'm seeing out of Tatum. Again, I made a video about Tatum, so go check that out on my other channel. But with that out of the way, that was the Celtics and Magic. Let's talk about the Grizzlies and Mavs. And this one's going to be really quick because this was a first quarter game, and then it was virtually over. The Mavericks, specifically Luka just went off. He had, in the first quarter alone, he had 21 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. He shot 8 for 10 from the field, 3 for 4 from 3, and he shot 2 of 3 from the line. I mean, I think the first quarter score, yes, it was 39-17 in the first quarter, and the Grizzlies just never made a comeback. The Mavericks ended up winning 137-96. And it was funny. I actually had this game recorded because I was going to miss part of it because I was like just getting off of work. And I watched that first quarter. I'm like, oh my God, this is a crazy first quarter. I thought maybe Ja or even Desmond Bane. Desmond Bane has been kind of killing it as of late. but I thought maybe they could make a comeback, and it just seemed like they weren't making the comebacks. Like halfway through the second quarter, I started fast forwarding, and then like I kept fast forwarding, and I'm just like, they're not going to make this comeback. And at a certain point, it got to the point I was like, yeah, they're not making the comeback. So I just stopped watching. So that was definitely a first quarter game. Luka is another MVP candidate. I think that's most people's kind of prediction is him to win it. The only reason why I don't think he would win it is just because I don't think the Mavs would win enough games. If they end up being like the 5th seed, I think he would win it for sure. Like Jokic won MVP as a 6th seed, so I think Luka could definitely do it as a 5th seed. But yeah, that's all I really have to say about that game. Grizzlies just never really stood a chance after that first quarter. Overall, Luka did end that game with 32 points. Spencer Dinwiddie had 15. Christian Wood also had a game as well. He had 25 points. I think Christian Wood should be starting. Or at least at the very, there's been games where the Mavericks are in these close situations and it's an offensive possession, like they just called a timeout and they need points and they don't put Christian Wood on the court. It's very weird to me. So even if you don't want to start him, I think he should start getting some respect. And, when you actually need scoring, you should actually put him on the court because he's been proven to be a good scorer for this team. So hopefully we see a little bit more out of Christian Wood. Tim Hardaway Jr. is also back. He had 16 points in this game. Overall, just good game from the Mavs. John Morant only had 20 points, but he also only played like 29 minutes because, again, this game was a blowout. I wouldn't really put too much stock into this game for the Grizzlies. Again, it's just like there's always like one of those games where like your team just gets smashed and there's nothing you can really do about it. And you just have to, just go to the next one. So that's what we're going to do here. We're going to go to the next one. The next game I watched was on Sunday, and it was Suns and Clippers. And the one thing I wanted to talk about in the Clippers side, because right now I'm not taking too much stock in the Clippers just because it is early in the season. John Wall and Kawhi Leonard are still trying to get acclimated. But I did want to talk about Kawhi, though, because his minutes are weird. So he takes like every other game off, it seems. And then even when he does play, he's coming off the bench. And the minutes that he gets are very like inconsistent. Like he'll be on the court. It's kind of similar to like what the Pelicans were doing with Zion, where like they would only play him for like 4 minutes and then they take him off for 4 and put him back on for 4. But it seems a little bit weirder than that. He doesn't seem to play really at all in like the first quarter, or like he'll come in late first quarter and then, or most likely he'll play most of the second. But he only ends up playing like 17 minutes a game. And I guess like the one question that I do have is, it is kind of concerning that they're utilizing him this way for him to come back, because when you think about the injury that he did have an ACL, so it makes sense why they're having a lot of precaution in him coming back. But you also have to think that like, I feel like the normal recovery time is like a year, and it's been plenty more than a year since he's had that injury. So I wonder if he's still having some sort of discomfort, or if he's, or it really is just a super safe way of dealing with a possible reoccurring injury, and him just wanting to stay healthy for the playoffs. Ultimately, I think that's what it is. I think he's just trying to stay healthy for the playoffs. This team is deep enough to where they can win teams. They proved it last season, being able to be a playing team without Paul George most of the season and Kawhi all season. So I think Kawhi is just kind of banking on his team being able to pull some wins out. Paul George is healthy, so he's going to be able to help them as well. I think by the time we get to the halfway point, he'll definitely be acclimated as a starter, and he'll be playing some more consistent minutes. But I think it is definitely weird that they are doing this. You would think they would at least start him. I would understand, maxing his minutes out to like maybe 25 or something, or even less if you really wanted to do that. But putting him on the bench too is kind of weird. You would think you would want him to play with the starters, since that's what he's, gonna do like when he's healthy. So that's one thing that I had on my mind. I'm not too worried about it right now, but it's definitely a question that we can look back, in maybe 15, 20 games or so, see what's going on. But other than that, I also want to talk about the Suns. And, I made a video about the Suns on my other channel, and it got one comment One person was trying to say like, "Oh, watch a couple games and then decide." But my whole point in that video was that I thought the Suns were going to be good. They'd probably be a top 4 seed. But when we get to the playoffs, again, I think they'll be the 4 seed. So like I think the Clippers, the Nuggets, and the Warriors are going to be better than the Suns. So it's like you're going to be, at best, in my opinion, a second round exit. And that most certainly isn't bad. But my whole point was just like their championship window is closed. I especially I thought it back then because Chris Paul was aging as well. But when you watch Chris Paul is not that guy anymore. If we just look at his season that he's having right now, not very good. He's only averaging 9 points a game, still 10 assists, which is good, and 2 steals as well. But he's only shooting 33% from the field, shooting 9 shots a game as well, which is kind of insane. You'd think he'd at least be in the double digits. It's by 1, so it's not that big of a difference. He's also shooting this is Westbrook efficiency right here: 33% from the field, 29% from 3, and he's shooting 91% from the line, which is great. Westbrook couldn't do that, but it's obvious Chris Paul's aging at this point. And then in this game against the Clippers, he only had 7 points. He went 3 for 11 from 3. He had 11 assists, so that was fine. He also had 8 rebounds in this game, so a near triple-double. But just overall, you can definitely tell Chris Paul is aging, and he's getting to the end of his career, and that's kind of why I just thought the Suns were their championship window was closed. I still feel this way. I think some people were expecting the Suns to just fall off a cliff and they'd be maybe like the 6th or 7th seed. I didn't think that much. I thought they would still be a good regular season team. But I definitely don't believe in the Suns, once we get to the end, just because I think there's better teams than them. I think they've lost some of their depth, and you can kind of see that. They're relying a lot on Damian Lee and Landry Shamet and Torrey Craig, and again, like, these are fine role players, but they aren't as good as what they had in that finals run. Jock Landale as well. He is the Suns' backup center. I actually had no idea he was on this team until I started watching the Suns games, and he's actually been pretty good for them. I thought Bismack Biyombo was going to be the backup big, and I thought that was a question mark as well, but Landale has actually proven to be a pretty good backup center, so that's actually a good find for the Suns. That's the one thing I would commend them on for their bench. Cameron Payne as well also isn't performing his, that 2020 finals run, or 2021, I'm sorry, the 2021 finals run. He isn't as good as he was then. Still, good. He's not on like OKC or like Chicago Bulls, playing really bad seasons, but definitely not his best currently. So that's just kind of like my main concerns with the Suns. The Suns ended up beating the Clippers here in this game, 112-95. And again, the Suns are going to be a good team, but I just have other teams I think that are better. Not much to take out of that game again, because I'm not taking too much stock in the Clippers, and I always thought the Suns were going to be a good regular season team. But for our next game, we're going to go onto Monday, and we have the Grizzlies and Nets. And I'm going to talk about the Grizzlies and Nets and the Mavs-Nets game that happened on Thursday combined, because I mainly just want to talk about the Nets on this one. The Nets defense is so bad. It is honestly laughable, and I knew it was going to be this bad. Again, I made a video about the Brooklyn Nets on my other channel, so if you're interested in that, go check that out. But they don't have any defenders. They have Ben Simmons, that's great. They have Royce O'Neal. He's actually been really good this season. And I'm pretty sure, and Nick Claxton. I'd say Nick Claxton is a good defender as well. So that's 3 defenders, and I don't think that's enough defenders for you to have an average defense. So, at best, you'll have a below average, and that's just not enough. I mean, they're losing this game against the Grizzlies. So the Nets scored 124 points, and they still lost, and they lost by 10. So the Grizzlies won 134 to 124. And they're giving Ja Morant just 38 points, and Desmond Bain had 38 points in this game as well. Santi Aldama also had 17 points. Brandon Clark had 13. It's just crazy how the Nets are able to just give up all these points. I didn't watch the Nets Bucks game. I actually missed it, And I was going to go back and watch it, but then I got the game spoiled by me, so I didn't end up watching it. But I think Giannis had 40 points in that game. And then again, looking at that Mavs-Nets game, Luka had an insane game as well. I know he had over 30. I think he was close to that 40-point mark. And that game did go into OT. But once you got to OT, the Nets just couldn't make stops. And the whole thing with the Nets is like you have KD and Kyrie, and you feel like that's enough for you to win games. And realistically, it kind of is, because in this Nets-Grizzlies game, KD scored 37 and Kyrie had 37, and Nick Claxton gave you 16 as well, and you still lost by 10. So, like, yes, offensively, these guys are going to be really good, but because they're not even an average defense, it just doesn't matter because they're just getting outscored. It's a big concern for me for the Nets. And again, like, the Nets could have a good regular season. I think they're probably like fifth seed, maybe fourth or fifth seed. But I definitely think you can make arguments for other teams in the East, like the Cavs. I think the Cavs are the best argument you can make for them being better than the Nets, just because they don't have as many question marks. And even the question marks that they have, I don't think it's like an overall like problem that they're going to be facing all season. The Nets' lack of defense is something that they're going to continue to face, because almost every team has like a star player, and those guys are just going to get 30 points a game every time. And the only way the Nets are going to be able to win games is like maybe, on a rare occurrence is them actually locking down and playing some good defense, or it's just outscoring them. And it's just not sustainable. Again, like, you could get like maybe 43 wins, 45, 40, even 47 wins. You could possibly get that many wins in the East, and I still don't believe in you. I just don't, because when you get to the playoffs, you're not going to be able to guard teams like the Nets or the Celtics. Or even, maybe the Heat. The Heat, maybe, but I would still take the Heat over the Nets. I just don't believe in this Nets team at all. And based off the 3 games of the Nets against the Grizzlies, Bucks, and Mavs, they can't stop anyone. And, it's hard to guard people like Ja, Luka, and Giannis. But, when you let other guys around them also feast as well, like Desmond Bane, like, you're just not going to win games. Allowing Desmond Bane to score 38 points is wild. It just is. It's wild. So that's all I really have to say about this Nets Grizzlies game. Again, Bane and John Morant had a feast day on them. Almost dropped 40 points combined. The Nets are awful on defense, and I don't believe in them. For our next game to discuss, this is a game that also happened on Monday. It was Blazers and Nuggets. My Nuggets got absolutely destroyed by Anfernee Simons. Simons just could not miss from 3. Where is it at? He went 7 for 12 from 3. He had 29 points in the game. Jeremy Grant also had 21. Damian Lillard, he had 31 points. Even Nasir Little and Shaedon Sharpe, they had 11 points. Respectively, they both had 11 points off the bench. Nuggets just did not play any defense in this game. And the fact that Aaron Gordon was our leading scorer at 26 points, it's just the chef's kiss. That's so great. I love it when Aaron Gordon is our leading scorer and Jokic only has 9 points because he only wants to shoot the ball 4 times. That was just a very weird game overall. Jokic was definitely deferring more than he was attacking, and I'm not quite sure why he decided to do this. Jamal Murray played in this game. He went 3 for 12, so he wasn't really providing much scoring. Michael Porter Jr. had a good game. He had 18. Bones Highland had 15 as well. If Jokic attacks the basket a little bit more, maybe the Nuggets are in it a little bit more, but they did lose by 25. So even if Jokic gave you 15 more, you're still losing by double digits. So yeah, just kind of a weird game. But to talk about the Blazers, because I don't think the Blazers are being talked about enough. It looks like Dame is back. Damian Lillard is back from his abdomen injury. I believe he had surgery to fix that. It was something that he's been dealing with for quite some time, but doesn't seem to be a problem anymore. Anfernee Simons had that whole year of development. He looks really good. The Blazers got Josh Hart last season, and he's looking really good as well. Really good fit next to Anfernee Simons and Dame, just as a defender and a rebounder as well. Anfernee Simons, already talked about him. Jeremy Grant. Jeremy Grant was the other guy I wanted to talk about. Very underrated power forward. I believe he's the top 10 power forward in the league. I actually made my top 10 power forwards list on my other channel. I believe I had him somewhere around that like I think it was actually like 9 or 10. So he's like barely in the top 10 power forwards in my opinion, at least coming into the season. And he's proven to be a good signing for them. Or no, it was a trade, right? Yeah, I think he got traded. But either way, he's a great two-way guy. He can shoot the three ball. He's a good attacker now. He's able to, create off the dribble a little bit, and obviously a fantastic defender. So that's just stuff that the Blazers need. Nurkic is looking pretty solid as well. He's not. What year was it that he was really good? I think it was the bubble year, or it was the year prior to him breaking his leg. He was really good. It may have been the first year with him on the Blazers, but he was really good for them. He's not as good as back then, but he's still very solid. Good starting center. My only concern for the Blazers is honestly their bench. It's kind of laughable. I mean, Nasir Little is good. I like Shaedon Sharpe as a prospect, but then after that, it just gets kind of shaky. It's like you have Drew Eubanks, Keon Johnson, Greg Brown III, Jabari Walker, and Justice Winslow. And one thing I will say, Justice Winslow has always been kind of like that guy. I wish he had the ball a little bit more in his hands because I think he has some potential as like a backup point guard. But the Blazers have actually been running him at center, and he's actually been doing a good job. Very interesting how that's working. In this Nuggets game, he did not actually play. He wasn't even active, so I think he probably was injured in that game. But very interesting bench. The bench is kind of bad. It kind of just relies on Shaedon Sharpe maybe showing, potential and, scoring like 11 points a game, and then hoping that Nasir Little like knocks down his threes. And that's virtually about it. If you get anything else out of your bench, like that's just icing on the cake. So this Blazers team is a little bit reliant on their starters. So I don't think they're going to be fighting in that play-in spot with the Lakers and, the Kings, I believe. Even though I don't even think the Kings have won a game, I still believe in the Kings. I don't know why. Maybe it's just because, I'm from California. So kind of just have to believe in the California teams, except the Lakers. But Sacramento is closer than LA because I'm in the Bay Area. So I'm closer to Sacramento than I am LA. So maybe that's why I believe in the Kings. And I've also seen some Kings games as well. Actually going to see one later in December against the Nuggets. I'm actually going to vlog that as well. So that'll be fun. They play 2 days after Christmas, so be on the lookout for that. But yeah, that's all I really had to say about that. Blazers look pretty solid. I actually think they haven't lost a game yet, so shout out to the Blazers. Let's move on to our next game here, and it's the Tuesday. The Tuesday game that I watched was the Suns and Warriors, and I already talked about the Suns, so I want to talk about the Warriors for this one. And in this game in particular, there was a lot of trash talking with one another. The whole game in that third quarter, I believe there were 7 technicals, which either leads or at least ties with the most technicals in a quarter. So that was kind of fun to watch. But in terms of the analysis of the Warriors, two things stick out to me. First thing is I think their defense looks kind of suspect right now. I don't think it's going to be a long-term issue, so I'm not too concerned, but it's definitely a problem that they're dealing with. They're definitely scoring very well. Curry is having a very good season. Draymond seems to be attacking the basket a little bit more as a scorer, and Wiggins looks even more comfortable in the system. Still have to see how good Klay Thompson actually is now. He's still taking a little bit time to come back, from having 2 seasons off. Jordan Poole also isn't having as an explosive year as last year. But I think all that is going to be, fixed with time. So I'm not too worried about that. But one thing I am concerned about is that I think the Warriors bench is just a little bit too inexperienced. And, you look at some of the signings that they got JaMychal Green. I think he's like 31, 32. They got Dante DiVincenzo. I believe he's 26. So JaMychal Green is a vet. I don't know if you would consider DiVincenzo a vet. He definitely isn't young, at least NBA standards. He's not like 21, 22. He's somewhere in that middle. So, I mean, maybe you consider him a vet. But then outside of those two guys, like it's all, rookies or second-year guys. So it's like you have James Wiseman, Moses Moody, Kuminga, And then Poole, obviously. Poole is fine, but those other three guys, it's just they're not playing good right now. And Wiseman is actually looking pretty decent. I think the way Kerr is using, not the way he's using it, the way he's subbing him in. So Looney gets subbed out early into the game so that Wiseman can actually play with some starters. And I think that definitely helps Wiseman a little bit. It gets him some better looks. But when you look at guys like Kuminga, Kuminga just isn't, obviously lots of potential there. Not saying he's a bad prospect, not saying he's trash, but just currently as it stands, he's not playing very well. Moses Moody, I think, is like actually playing pretty good, but overall, those three young guys, their plus minus are in the negatives. They're not, when they're on the court together, they're just not doing very great things. And I think the Warriors maybe need to do a little bit better job at mixing in the vets with the young guys so that they don't have to rely on the young guys actually performing. They can kind of rely more on that veteran leadership and, a little bit more offensive and defensive consistency. But overall, again, time could fix this, having more reps. A lot of, Wiseman really hasn't played in the past 2-3 years because even in college, he didn't play all that much as well. So, they're definitely going to need time, but I think it definitely concerns me just in the long run, just because, again, like if you're the Warriors, your window is, kind of shrinking just because Curry's getting older. Draymond, this is probably going to be the last year with Draymond on the team. So you want to be able to compete at the highest level and you want to, repeat as champions again. So, last year they didn't have to rely on the young guys so much because they had veteran leadership off the bench and they had good guys off the bench that were, experienced, but they don't really have that anymore. JaMychal Green, well, actually not JaMychal Green, DiVincenzo has missed some time with small little injuries, so we'll have to see how that goes. But I am definitely a little bit concerned about the Warriors bench, but I think it'll be better over time. I think the question at that point is just how good will it be, and I don't know if I know the answer to that yet. Obviously, the sky's the limit when you have that much young talent coming off the bench, but because there's so much potential, you just don't know where that potential is going to lead you yet, at least, in the next coming, weeks or months. We got 2 games left to discuss, so we're going to go to the Wednesday's game of Nuggets versus Lakers, and Nuggets had a way better game. And the one thing I wanted to talk about is mainly like with the Lakers. Anthony Davis has been really good so far this season. Definitely showing signs of being back on defense. Offensively, still not a good jump shooter, but he's attacking the paint well enough. And he's scoring really good in the paint as well. So he's overall looked pretty good. But the one thing I do have concern about is, at least in this game, his effort was at an all-time low. And he was literally getting beat just because Jokic decided to sprint down the court. And it's kind of sad. So like there's multiple times in transition where like AD would shoot a shot, and whether it made or missed, he would do these like stutter steps before he like actually decided to walk forward. And while he's doing these stutter steps, Jokic is running. So AD is behind him and Jokic is just in front. So the Lakers at that point have to give up a mismatch with Jokic, and Jokic is getting these easy layups. So he was attacking the basket a whole lot more. And it's because AD was being kind of lazy on transition defense. And LeBron didn't have a really good game in this game as well. It really wasn't close. The final score was 110-99. But LeBron only had 19 points in this game. AD was also having some back issues in this game, I believe. I know he's having back issues right now. I just don't know if it was in this game in particular. But yeah, like even LeBron couldn't really save them from this game. He also didn't really show much effort in this game as well, which is very weird because the Nuggets are a good team. You would think you would want to try to at least compete, but they really didn't. And it also talked about AD as well. So the transition defense effort is a little bit concerning, but also there's definitely times where he'll go up to like a contest a shot, or like he has the ability or the chance to do it, but he doesn't do it. And it's very weird to me, especially since the Lakers are an improved defense. I actually was a little bit concerned about how good defensively they would be. That's like the one thing that they've proved me wrong so far, is that their defense is actually pretty good. But there's definitely moments where AD, the anchor of the defense, is just not doing the little things that they need him to do, like contest a shot like a mid-range or like a floater. And when he doesn't do that, the teams capitalize on it. So like even if you contest and they make it, it's like you just have to live with that. But if you don't do it and they make it, it's like you're virtually not even giving yourself a shot. And I think that's definitely concerning for the Lakers. They still haven't won a game. I honestly didn't think they were going to be this bad. Actually, no, I'm lying. I did think they were going to be this bad. But, they definitely need some more effort out of AD on the defensive end, even though he has been pretty good so far. Health, obviously, is a huge question mark with Anthony Davis. So maybe that's why he's not as aggressive on the defensive end and kind of putting more effort onto the offense, and since they do need scoring. But AD did not look good in this game defensively, but the offense of the Lakers wasn't enough to counteract that. So they ended up getting blown out by, it was only 11 points, but the game really wasn't ever close. And for our last game, kind of an anticlimactic game here, nothing too crazy. It's a Pacers-Wizards game. So I figured I had to get my my probably one and only Pacers game in, and also Wizards as well. I figured, they're going to play each other. Might as well watch them both, get them out of the way. And really, my only takeaway from this is that Haliburton he's good, man. Haliburton is a good player. He ended this game with 25 points, 12 assists. He also had a steal. Overall, this Pacers team had a really good game as well. Buddy Hield went 5 for 9 from 3. He had 25 points. Miles Turner had 27. Jalen Smith and Naismith had 15 points, and Ben Mathurin had 11 points off the bench. This was just an offensive game from the Pacers. They cannot miss. They were making a lot of really good passes as well, a lot of good ball movement. And the Wizards, who actually have been a pretty good defensive team so far this season, just were getting outplayed on the offensive end. Oh my God, I'm feeling a sneeze. We're going to keep it pushing though, but Haliburton definitely, the playmaking has always been there. I've always had, he has high potential as a playmaker, and he's showing it right now. But he's showing really good promise as a scorer as well. He had 25 points in this game, but so far this season alone, he's averaging 23 points on 50% from the field, 42% from 3, and 93% from the line. And this is all on really good volume as well. He's shooting 6 threes a game, and he's shooting virtually 5 free throws a game. So he's making drastic improvements on the offensive end. And happy for the Pacers that they were able to get someone like him as well. Ben Mathurin has also been really good for them as well. He only had 11 points, shot 4 or 11 from the field in this game, but he's had games where he's just on fire and he cannot miss. And he's really strong for a rookie as well. He's probably going to be the steal of the draft, even though you could have a conversation if you think the 6th pick of the draft is a steal. But he's definitely up there in the MVP race. I would say he's probably second right now. You can maybe make an argument for him for first, but I personally would pick Paolo right now. But yeah, the Pacers looked really good in this game. The Wizards have had a good defense, but the playmaking from the Pacers in this game was just really good, and the Pacers were capitalizing off them with open threes in the corner and stuff like that. Beal had a good game as well. He had 31 points, I believe. Yeah, he had 31 points, shot it really well. Kyle Kuzma didn't really have the greatest game, but he had 18 points. And Porzingis had 22, another underrated center in my opinion. I think I had him just above Jeremy Grant in my rankings. But yeah, this was honestly kind of a boring game to watch, other than just seeing the Pacers make the threes. The Wizards were always kind of like trying to make pushes to get back into the game, but they could never just get the stops like they have been, at least, to start off the season. So that kind of sucks for the Wizards. But this game really never was close, even though the score was kind of decently close. It just never really was. So not that interesting, but it was really fun to see Haliburton play. I actually might start watching more Pacers games because of Haliburton, because he's definitely making that jump. And it still makes me question why the Kings even decided to trade him. I know obviously the potential of a Fox and Sabonis, duo is good, but I think if you wanted Sabonis so bad, I still think you could have gotten Sabonis by trading Fox, and then you could have a Haliburton and Sabonis, duo. In my opinion, I think Haliburton definitely has a higher, ceiling uh, than De'Aaron Fox. So I think that would automatically heighten the ceiling of that duo as well. So, I don't really quite understand the trade. I understand wanting to get Sabonis, but I don't understand why you traded Haliburton. And that's pretty much my whole thing with that. I still don't get that. I don't think I ever will, and I don't think the Kings will ever benefit from this trade. The Kings are just one of the worst ran franchises in general, so not really surprised about that. But those are the games that I watched for this week. I don't know if you can hear my dad sneezing, but he's really distracting me right now with his sneezing. He just loves to sneeze really loud. What is up with dads and just feeling the urge to sneeze at their loudest convenience? I don't know. I really don't. But again, I can't really watch all the games because I do have work. So I do try to watch as many games as I can. I thought we discussed a good amount of games. This episode did run a little bit shorter than last, but it's fine, man. It's fine. I hope you guys had a good time. I know I did. Again, if you're interested in anything else that I create, everything is in the Linktree link. I'm on TikTok. I got a Twitter. I got another YouTube channel. So check those stuff out. And with that out of the way, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out. Stay safe. Have fun. It's Halloween weekend. So go get lit, but don't put other people in danger. Okay, bye.